Matt Lenihan, Boxing Social. Delighted to be joined by Eddie Hearn. Eddie, Dillian Whyte fight week. Interesting fight. Jermaine Franklin, undefeated. Bit of an unknown quantity. Dangerous fight though for Dillian.
I think a really dangerous fight because sometimes those unknown quantities, I mean, from the public perception is, oh, Dillian Whyte's the comeback fight, he should knock this guy out. From the boxing perspective, and people who know the game, know Jermaine Franklin, know the pedigree and where he comes from, a very dangerous fight. 21-0, undefeated. The team seemed very confident. Nice bit of mediocre beef yesterday. Hopefully we'll carry on today. And a very important fight for him. You know, he wants these big fights, he wants Anthony Joshua, but so does Jermaine Franklin. And this fight changes Jermaine Franklin's life if he wins, and a loss will put Dillian Whyte in a terrible place.
I was just about to say, where would Dillian go if he loses? Because you look at his career, he's obviously just come back off a defeat to Fury, a defeat to Jermaine Franklin. Where does that put him?
All of a sudden you end up losing 3 fights in 4 fights, you know, and I think Dillian wants to be at the highest level. You know, he wants to fight the biggest fights. He wants to try and get a shot at the world heavyweight title. And if he loses to Franklin, he's miles away from that. So this is a very dangerous fight. And in fact, all the pressure on this fight is actually just on Dillian Whyte. And Franklin can go out and do his thing. Can Franklin deal with the occasion, but also deal with the levels of Dillian Whyte, who is an elite heavyweight, whichever way you want to look at it. So excited to see how it unfolds.
I know you spoke to Dillian spoke to Charlie, and Dillian was asked about the Anthony Joshua fight, and he goes, "I've not been spoken to about that." He says, "I've heard it through sources and through media, but no, I've not been spoken to, so I wouldn't count on that necessarily definitely happening." Is that the plan though? Winner definitely fights AJ?
Not definitely, but you know, when you look at,
makes sense.
Yeah, I think any time that you can make an Anthony Joshua Dillian Whyte fight, you should definitely look at it. And again, Jermaine Franklin would end up being 22-0, unbeaten American that's just beat Dillian Whyte, so he would be a front runner as well. There are other options that we're talking to people at the moment, but this is a fight that, you know, us, AJ, the heavyweight world are going to be watching because the winner's going to be in a great place.
How big a fight is that? Obviously the first one was so many years ago, and Dillian sort of come a bit full circle. He's been in there with some world-class operators, and he's a lot different compared to what he was back then. And AJ suffered defeats. Obviously he wants to make his way back. How big a fight is that? Does it sell a Wembley Stadium out?
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I mean, you know, AJ sells Wembley Stadium out anyway, but to do it against a fellow Londoner with a history that they've got, it's 1-1, and the second fight was epic in the pro ranks, but it was a long time ago. I say they don't like it. I mean, they do respect each other. They definitely respect each other because they've trod similar paths in some respects, and they love to fight each other. And every time they get in the ring, it's going to be a thriller. So yeah, it's a massive, massive fight. Definitely a stadium fight. And you know, I think if Dillian makes a statement on Saturday, that fight becomes bigger and bigger.
Fury Chisora, I've not managed to catch up with you about that. I know obviously it's not something you're involved in, but you've promoted Derek for many years. I know everyone's talking about the pay-per-view price, but just as a fight itself, how big a chance do you give Derek in that fight? A lot of people are writing him off, but Dell's a live fighter, and he's been talked about going in with Wilder. So
yeah, I think that Derek has been written off for years. I mean, also Derek Chisora's got a heart of gold. He's got loads of courage, and he's a lovely man. On paper, it's a very difficult task. But what he will always do is try and win the fight. He'll always stay in the fight. He's just fighting a very, very good heavyweight. And, you know, the previous fights make you feel like it is a tough task. But he'll give it everything. We're behind him 100%. And I'd love to see him do it. I really would.
I want to talk to you about Gervonta Davis. Now, yesterday there was a text circulating, a few media outlets got it from an unknown number saying that he was no longer with the promotions, and he also deleted a tweet asking for his termination papers. Have you seen that? When you see that, obviously, I know you've had legal letters from them lot before. Does your eyes light up and say, you know what, can we try and reach out? Because he must be someone you want for the platform. Yeah,
I think that obviously they've got their next 2 fights, it looks like, lined up. One coming up in January and the next one, Ryan Garcia. I think you've got to be a little bit careful. Like, I found it quite bizarre that media outlets are reporting a random text from a number that you just don't know who it is. Like, it's pretty dangerous. Like, anyone could text Dan Raphael or those guys, so just to let you know, with some fake news. But it does appear that Gervonta Davis is no longer under contract with Mayweather Promotions. I'm just going on what he's been saying. I saw the deleted tweet. He seems to do that quite a lot. And it seems like he's not working with Leonard Ellaby and Floyd Mayweather anymore. But I still don't think that you should be reporting texts that you get from random numbers. But at the end of the day, I think Gervonta has said enough now to show people that he's no longer working with Mayweather Promotions.
I was going to say, do you think the reason that text came out is because off the back of the tweet, because he does delete a lot of stuff. So do you think there was almost substance to that? Well, he said it but deleted it. We've got a text.
I've got no idea. I mean, I don't believe rumours or random bits of information coming out. Anyone can say anything these days. But what I do believe is when Gervonta says something and deletes it, it's said for a reason. So it's not really my business. If you're asking me, would we like to bring Gervonta Davis to Matchroom and DAZN? Of course. But it looks like he has his immediate future mapped out, and we'll see what happens from there. Yeah,
you were very vocal in song form, actually, a few months ago. Any sort of communication with that side, trying to sort of repair a relationship? I know DAZN are going to be working with Showtime on... with Leonard and all that side.
People have been messaging me all the time now over the last couple of weeks with a song that I've done and stuff like that. It's not, you don't wish... anything negative on people, and if they have parted ways, it will hurt, because I've been there before when you've built a fighter like Leonard has, and contract runs up and they go elsewhere. That's just boxing, that's life, and that's business. So I'm sure that Leonard and Floyd will live to fight another day, but they'll be disappointed as well, because they've been a big part of Tank's journey.
You mentioned building fighters. I know you've done this to death, but Lawrence Okolie, I saw an interview where you said, look, it'd be good if Lawrence just come down to the office, look what we've done for him, forget a Rolex, but you built him. Even when the fights got slated, let's be honest, they were getting a lot of stick from him. You still put him main event, got him a world title. Is that not a conversation where he can just text you and go, look, let's just get to the bottom? Come into the office. Is there too much gone on now with the tweets and stuff? Because ultimately you have to draw a line at some point and go, not on.
What happens is, if you get in with the wrong people, if you start to listening to people that don't actually know what they're talking about, it can move you away from a relationship with someone. And that's really what happened. Like the job that Anthony Joshua 258 did for Lawrence Okolie, unbelievable. The job that we did for Lawrence Okolie, unbelievable. But someone got in his ear and said, you should be getting this and someone should be doing that. And sometimes you have to be smart enough to remember the people that have got your back. And we always had Lawrence's back, and so did 258. For some reason, he started to feel like we or them or someone didn't. And that's because someone told him so. But at the same time, sometimes when a fighter tries to leave, it's like it already jeopardises the relationship, But at the same time, it's that point where if there's a problem, you should really phone someone up when they've been so good to you, really, and say, what's up? What's the problem? What do you want to do? What are you not happy with your career? Then from there, there's some legal letters going back, because you have to defend yourself. So we send a legal letter to Sky and Boxer. And then next thing, he holds that against us and thinks we're holding back his career, even though he's... And then that's when the tweets start. And once those tweets start, it's kind of like irreparable damage. Because what was said, that's why I reached out to him. I said, what are you talking about? And we had a phone call. But the phone call was not about how we can fix things. The phone call was like, why the hell are you saying this? And I suppose we cleared the air a little bit, but it's really...
gone too far.
You know what, I think a lot of people feel that boxing is more than just a business to me. Boxing is my life, and it has been for many years, decades in fact. And I've given so much to the sport, and it's treated me very well and my family very well as well. But when you do a great job for someone, when you deliver on all your promises, when you lose money, and forget about the Rolex. The Rolex was like, I promised Lawrence Okolie a Rolex.
You did, but people say stuff like that and maybe don't follow through. But you did.
Yeah, but I follow through on everything. I don't lie to fighters. I don't not deliver to fighters. Check our track record. We pay fighters on time every time. No one else does like we do. But yet someone else, will come in and say we can give you this, we can give you that, and this was something that if he would have come to us and said, look, this is the situation, I've got one fight left, what do you think about this, what do you think about this, we would have got it resolved, and maybe we still could. But the problem is when he says stuff like that, it don't sit well with me. And he probably don't care about that, but just that's how I feel.
No worries. I want to talk to you about Josh Warrington. I interviewed him the other day in Leeds, and he was speaking about his fight coming up with Lopez. One of the big things on his list that we want to tick off is a trip to the States, Leo Santa Cruz, and he's very adamant about this and says, look, what the fuck do I have to do? I've done everything. Let me and my fans go. That Ricky Hatton moment. How can we get Josh Warrington to America and get that army of fans travelling? Who's the ideal opponent?
Firstly, he has to beat Lopez. I'll tell you now, this may be the toughest fight of his career so far. Lopez can really, really fight. He's an outstanding fighter. But we've got the Leeds faithful there, and it's going to be a great night of boxing. really, there's 2 fights after that for Josh Warrington. Number 1 is Leewood. Sort out the Santa Cruz situation, the unification at Ellen Road, Nottingham Forest, massive fight. Josh's preference is still to do a US fight, and he does deserve it, and his fans deserve it as well. And that could come in the form of Leo Santa Cruz or another big unification. So right now, honestly, all I'm fixated on is December 10th, because we've been here before, and we were there with Chisora, and it was like, oh, just win this, and we'll do this, and we'll do this, and next thing, everything comes tumbling down. So we have to win December 10th. It's going to be a tough fight.
He still wants that fight, though. I spoke to him, and he's like, look, I'm not happy with the way that I was perceived after that. He said even DAZN was saying, making out that, I was happy to not get killed in there, and Maurizio was unhappy that he couldn't kill me when he says I was well in the fight. Would you look at that? Because he says it's personal now, does Lara?
Listen, whenever there's that kind of beef or it starts to become personal, etc., you're in a situation where the fight gets bigger. Josh Warrington, Maurizio Lara 3 is a massive fight, but Josh does have other things he wants to tick off on his box. But they're all massive fights. Maurizio Lara trilogy, Leewood unification, Santa Cruz or wherever it could be in Vegas or New York. Leeds will fill those arenas, and I'd love to see him get it. But honestly, December 10 is so vital. We can't look past that at the moment.
Absolutely. Look, Eddie, I know you're busy. Thanks for talking to Boxing Social. Catch up again.
Cheers, mate.